Never mind me, boys and girls. I am in a fantastic mood. We just got done with uh, the most fun roundtable I think we've ever had. I've won a prestigious award a little while ago. I've been waiting for it to arrive, and it finally came. It was hand delivered all the way from Massachusetts, Italy. Man, uh, this is going to be fun with my man here. Look who it is, boys and girls. This is starting to pop with Don Kincaid and my very special guest. This is a little different for us right now. Stephen Baker. What's up, my man?
Not much, man. Figured I would come on and just shoot the shit for real and not, not being all gimmick and stuff and just, kind of talk, see what's up.
Well, this is going to be different for me, boys and girls, because I've only known one thing about this guy. He loves his character. He sticks to his character. He doesn't mess around. And I'm telling you, we've had so much fun with his transformations, his, how do we put it, evolution of character throughout his career. But now look at what we've got. It's a totally different person, my man. I heard a little ding. Let me get rid of my sounds because that is no good. Very distracting. And I only got one brain cell, and I'm very easily distracted.
Understood.
Yeah. So thank you so much for wanting to come on my show. No, let me rephrase that. Not my show. This is our show for the fans to get to know. You've been on before as a different persona, if you will.
Yes.
This is for the fans, so we get to know our most talented men and women out on the local scene right now. So thank you again for spending the time with us.
Okay, sorry, you just, bro. No, of course, not a problem at all. Honestly, dude, I really like what you guys do. I mean, like we were talking about Donovan, like he's been getting out there, like yourself, like you guys are. You guys made quarantine a lot easier for a lot of us without realizing it. So, I mean, honestly, we I can speak for myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people that we appreciate and respect what you guys are doing for us. So,
well, I love hearing those words, and you have echoed those from throughout the interviews I've had over the course since this whole thing has started. And I didn't realize, and I've said that to Donovan too, my friend. You don't realize what the service that you give to the men and women out there, because it's not about us. Okay, that's first and foremost, and I hope that the people watching these things, it's not about me. It's about pushing our talent, because now I've always stuck with the indie scene because the names are the names, and I get that. They had to start somewhere, but they're the names right now. And I don't want to go through the channels for that, but that's not what this show was all about. It's for getting our fine talent on the indie scene that don't get the opportunity to have that media coverage. And that's why I do it. And I think Donovan is doing the same exact thing, and I applaud him for doing that.
No, he absolutely is. And like, from our perspective, like obviously quarantine for everybody pretty much took a whole chunk of our lives out. You know what I mean? So being able to even come on to one of these, even if it's only for a half hour, 2 hours, doesn't matter how long it is. It lets you get away from from pretty much the idiocracy that's out and about right now. You know what I mean? And kind of like all the mundane stuff. So, I mean, this kind of lets us get back into what we love, even if it's only for just for a little bit. And that's really important, especially for me. I mean, like, obviously I've kept myself busy, but like I've also, I miss wrestling just like all of us do. So just like the fans do, like I can understand how like, oh, you're itching to get to a show. You're itching to get to a show. Can you imagine how much we're itching to be in the ring to give you that show? You know what I mean?
I can't even imagine. And I did state over the course of leading up where the whole kind of pandemic shut everything down, and I started talking to, I was doing like an average of 25 interviews a week, man. It was insane. But getting all of that talent, there was a lot of things that were echoed the same manner. I can't wait to get out there. I can't wait to get out there. And I get that. But I've posed this to some of the talent. And I want to make a point, though. You were episode, let me rephrase that. King Leon the Black Blade was episode number 26, okay? Now, that was the last episode before the world shut down, and I couldn't go to the talent's homes or wherever I was being able to do face-to-face interviews. So you were episode 26. We are at episode today, right now. This is episode 218.
Jesus Christ, man. It doesn't feel like that long ago that you came here. So you've been getting your freaking wheels under you and going. Dear God.
Episode fucking 218. And my my point being is, I've posed this statement, not a question. Well, actually, it is a question. Do you feel that once the men and women really get back out there, because there has been shows sprinkled throughout, but when the gates open and everybody gets out there, I think everybody's going to be so excited, Mr. Baker, that there might, and I'm not trying to jinx the community at all, but there might be injury prone events here, because everybody's going to want to go balls to the wall and give everything.
Well, here's the thing. So I actually got to get into the ring a couple days ago, maybe about a week ago, just to practice and kind of see where I'm standing right now, because God knows, for any wrestler listening, they know damn well that being in regular shape and being in ring shape are two completely different things. You can be the most body goddess freaking, you can have a 8-pack going from your freaking chest all the way down to your leg. It won't matter until you actually get that time in the ring, because 5 minutes in the ring and you're like, what the hell am I doing? And I'll even say, from the other day, getting into the ring and really starting to roll around with a couple of my buddies, it was nice. It was definitely one of those things where it's like, okay, we're back. I was hitting some ropes, and man, by 10 minutes in, I'm like, this is not going to be easy getting back to what we were doing before. And into what you're saying, what you're saying is everyone is going to want to get in there and show up and show out, myself included. But unless you're actually getting in the ring right now and really pushing yourself, or doing things that unless you can do it, regardless of what you could do before, just don't. You don't need to get out. Since September, I've been dealing with an Achilles injury. It's just now finally starting to feel okay, which is why I got back in the ring. But I don't, you can't afford to push yourself back, because yeah, we love wrestling and we want to wrestle for everyone on the weekends, but we all still have our lives Monday through Friday, no matter what. And that's what a lot of people, wrestler wise, as they know you're going to want to go get in there and go freaking bang, bang, bang. Don't do it. Go take a couple of shows and have your normal 5 to 7 minute match and enjoy it and just soak it in until you're back to where you need to be.
Absolutely. Because the excitement is just, I've been to a couple tests of strengths during the COVID. Yep. You've actually performed at I always mess the call letters up. NEWE or NWEE or NE.
It's NWWX, New World Wrestling Extreme.
Yes. I'm so sorry, Mr. Allen. I apologize. Now I've seen you actually perform on one of their shows that they had, because they had a couple outdoor shows before. Yeah, before the weather got a little too cold to do the outside stuff. Pretty much. How was it getting out there? Because I've been waiting to talk to you about a couple things, because in the interim, I've also seen you on Mr. Lee O'Connor's show, and we're going to get into that transition. But how was it for yourself to get into that ring? And there was a crowd there, a live crowd, obviously distance and whatnot. But how did it feel to get back in that ring? After, I can't even imagine.
Dude, I'll be honest with you. So here's the thing about my whole trajectory with quarantine. I obviously, in the beginning of it, everyone was completely locked away for months. Around the, late spring, early summertime, XWA got a chance to open their doors because of the fact that there was, because of the regulations that were going on. Everything was dipping, things were happening, and it was oh, we can actually do stuff now. And luckily, and a lot of people, for what it's worth, gave crap to XWA because they were running during quarantine. And I understand why. But at the same time, from the other perspective, especially guys like myself, guys like freaking even Trayvon Jordan, guys who went out and still worked those shows, you need to understand, we didn't go there and be oh, we're being selfish. We need to get in the ring. Obviously, we want to be in the ring, but it came down to, we understood we would go there early and we would set up the chairs to make sure that people were correctly seated. We would have all the stuff there to make sure we were all taken care of, wear our masks into the building. We were, honest to God, trying our damnedest to make sure that it went well. You know what I mean? So obviously, so I've had my matches, very minimal, obviously, still minimal, but I've had my matches, and then come to New World Wrestling Extreme, me and Jimmy, me and Troop, decided to link up and talk, and literally in my first show, which was the most insane thing, he was like, hey, I'm putting you with Tommy Dreamer. I'm like, oh, okay, awesome. And like, I love the big high profile matches. Like, I don't worry about the pressure of them. I look at them as as literally literal peers. I mean, obviously there's a bigger respect factor because of what they've paved the way, but generally they are your peers. They want to have a show just like you do. And like, so when he put me there, me and Tommy had a great match, with awesome time. And after that match, this is something that I really like to tell because honestly, it made me feel really good. Tommy pretty much told me, he's like, you're a great worker. Your character's there. Your promo is there. He's like, do you think maybe next month when I come back, we can have another thing to continue this? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So pretty much that right there alone said, okay, I can work with these guys and be fine, obviously. And it also showed when Tommy went to Troop and told him that, showed Troop, oh, we have one of our guys. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of our guys right there. And then I had a match. It was me and Dick Lane had a one-on-one match where I beat Dick Lane the next show. And then at the end of the show, me and Anthony Katina ran out and jumped Just Incredible and Dreamer, and we had a 7-minute tag match. But like those crowds and just like, man, it's like, it might be just like a piece of what it was, but like it's still enough to be like, man, do I just need to be in there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
I did follow the media, the footage that was coming out, and the results and such, because that was a couple hours away from me. I kind of was steadfast on not doing shows, but then TOS came around. They had a couple dates, and I was kind of keen on not doing it because I wear a mask all the time at work, and I didn't want to go to wrestling and not enjoy it, I guess, if you will. But then Mr. Baker, right down the road, literally 5 minutes from my effing house. How can I not go?
I'm pretty sure that was the night I was on that show as well, the 6-way, correct?
Yes.
With Casey Navarro and Ray Jazz and all them. Yeah. Okay.
So
I saw you there.
Being able to go to those just couple events, it was just so like, oh man, we needed this so bad.
Absolutely.
And it was just so cool. And I know that people were frowning. There are promotions that will not run until whatever normalcy will be. And I get that. I totally.
See, I completely respect that.
Yes, absolutely. I totally get that. But the way that the promotions that were doing it, it was A, outside. It was B, socially distanced. C, the masks. D, there was sanitizing stations. E, they were taking our temperatures. I mean, I could keep going on and on. Yep. So they really tried, like you were hammering the point for XWA. You guys and girls were still making it, following those guidelines, those rules, if you will, from the CDC, the states, the governors. So I felt that I think I was comfortable enough to go in with my dad, and we went and had some fun. And I am so glad that I did not miss out on those couple of shows.
Absolutely, man. And like, that's what I'm trying to say to people is like, the thing is we're all going to be opinionated on what's going on. Obviously, it's dangerous out there to an extent. You know what I mean? I'm not saying for everybody. Obviously, some people don't get as sick as others, but that's not the point. The point is we are in the middle of a pandemic. That's 100% true. But we're just going by what we're hearing from all the other people, like higher ups. You know what I mean? Like when we get regulations saying, oh, things are looking better, let's open up a little more. Yeah. I mean, why not? Especially if that's what's, the consensus. So when it came down to it, like, obviously, like I had a couple people message me like, oh, why are you doing this? That's selfish. I'm like, guys, listen, I'm not trying to be selfish. It's literally, I want to wrestle. We're doing everything within precautions to make sure that we can safely wrestle. And in that whole time at XWA, if I'm not mistaken, one person got COVID and it wasn't even during a show. And then they just didn't show up. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, that's how that goes. And it's like, that's why, like, at the end of the day, you can have any opinion you want, and I'm going to respect your opinion just like I'd hope you respect mine, but understand I'm not doing, like, I have a kid at home. You think I'm going to go and, mess up just to mess up? Like, it's not, I'm not stupid. At the end of the day, I'm not. And I just don't want to, I just want to make it very clear that if you have run or you have wrestled during quarantine, I respect that. If you haven't, I also respect that. And that's just all there is to it. So
yeah, because like they say, there's always two sides of the coin, and I get both.
Of course.
And again, most, and I'm not saying all, because I have seen some pictures of inside really jam packed, and I mean jam packed. So some are doing it a little recklessly, and some are, it is what it is. So you have to take the good with the bad and whatever's going on, and I just filter it and move on, my friend. I can't stay on that train of blah 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 blah. I can't do that.
Yeah, I get it.
So enough about all of the madness going on around us. Ever since you reached out to me, my friend, I have been waiting because not only that, but even previous, I watched Mr. Leo Connor's show, and you were on there not that long ago, and there was a conversation that I kind of got my teeth into because there's an evolution, as we have spoken, of one Stephen Baker. Now, I'm going to go back to the beginning. I first met you. We were up in Rhode Island at the Chop Shop. You were King Leon the Sixth, and I went up to you one time during intermission. You were winded. You just got done with your match. You were winded trying to get your oats about you. I seen you sitting down. I asked you for a quick little promo. You said abso-fucking-lutely, and you gave me your time. And I've always appreciated that from the day that we met. Then you had this trend. Now, King Leon was around for a while.
Yes.
Then you started this transition really not that long ago. King Leon the Black Blade, you buried King Leon the Sixth, and things were changing. The book of the Black Blade was coming out. We were going to learn what was going on. The differences of Beheadya was gone. Everything was changing in your career. And I caught you episode 26 at that beginning of that transition, pretty much.
Yes, you did.
Now, we fast forward. We've gone, you're fucking with my mind. We go fast forward. There was a little shenanigans in the woods, and I want to stop right there.
Sure.
And that's why I wore this beautiful Ryan F. Frost shirt. There was some shenanigans in the woods.
Yes.
And I want you to take us, the fans, through this because you took some time. You made it quality. You made it a 3-part series. You spread it out over time, keeping us hooked. I couldn't wait for number 3 because I wanted to see the finale. And son of a bitch, you pulled the wool over my eyes because you, my friend, ended up getting that damn sword. And I was really hoping that it wasn't you as a fan. So please take us through that because I've been wanting to pick your brain on that.
All right. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, it was definitely during a time where I was trying to keep the relevancy alive with the new character because obviously everyone knew King Leon the Sixth, which was great. And I had a phenomenal run, I feel like, with King Leon the Sixth. But my thing is like we talked about before, you got to evolve and you have to kind of sometimes you just grow out of stuff. And not to say that I grew out of King Leon the Sixth, so to speak. It just turned into there was only so much I could do. King Leon the Sixth for a while, and I believe even towards the end, really, was just regarded as though I had my, solid matches, truth be told, it was like I was a comedy act. And I had no problem with being a comedy act to an extent, but like I had already had, in my opinion, what could have probably been the biggest comedy match of my life when I had that match with Santino and Stryker. And, like when you go up against someone like that high up and it's like, okay, well, I've done it now in my head with that. You know what I mean? Like with the comedy aspect, it's like, all right, well, where do I go from here? And the Black Blade showed up, and there it is. But when it came to the videos, we were all just kind of quarantining. And you know what? I was like, I want to reach out. I want to see if there's anyone who'd be willing to just do a, cinematic thing. And it just kind of happened. Like I knew Dick Lane I wanted there because he's one of those guys who is just always on board to do fun, cool stuff like that. Mighty Bosch and Sid, I love those two. They are literally they're probably, honest to God, some of the most humble and nice people in wrestling. And I mean that. And then you got Ryan Frost, and I love Frost to death. Like he's one of those guys. Again, he's always just like Frost. To peel back the curtain, might be a dick, but like he's a good dude. You know what I mean? So I'll leave it at that. And then it's just like we got there, and we were just I don't know. It kind of turned into one of these things where I'm like, I literally wrote a whole script for it. A lot of it didn't come out the way I wanted it to, if I'm being honest with you, only because out of the sheer fact that I did not have the editing capabilities to do everything I wanted to do. But for what it was, like, it was pretty much, they all met up at my house one morning. We all got geared up in the woods that day. Uh, and I literally ran scene through scene with them. I'm like, hey, let's try this. Let's try it from that angle. Let's give it a shot here. And by no stretch of the imagination am I a cinematographer or God knows any of that. But for someone who literally picked up freaking just iMovie and recording on my phone, I think it turned out pretty decent. I had some guy message me saying this is the lamest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, I don't fucking care. Like, I mean, no, that's okay. It was like one of those fucking burner accounts, you know what I mean? But like, and I'm like, I really do not care. Like, I mean, for what it's worth, me and a bunch of my wrestling friends got to have a good day with each other. We hung out, we had some lunch, we shot the shit, got to just kind of get closer as people. That was what it mattered to me. You know what I mean? And like, we all got to do a little something extra for quarantine. Like, who else is doing that? You know what I mean? Regardless of how good it was, you know? So,
Absolutely.
And I guess at the end of the day, it was just one of those things where I meant for it to be something completely different. But by the time we got there, I was like, you know what? Let's just kind of have some fun with it and do this and do that. And like, the ending was made that way to pretty much it put my character over a little more, obviously, because it was the Blackblade Wars and it was my freaking old woods, you know, so I had to play it up like that. But I mean, it was also to get the other guys over in their sense with, you know, like Dick Lane using the Force and stuff and getting over his character and, you know, and we actually revisited our past because he's like, you know, you're King Leon the Sixth. I'm like, no, I'm not. You know what I mean? So we got to visit that. Me and Frost never really had legitimate interactions until then, so we got to kind of build an interaction there. And, you know, same thing with Bosch and Sid. So I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it really just came down to a bunch of wrestling buddies that just wanted to enjoy ourselves, you know?
I will say you could tell that you guys had fun creating it. That was very evident in you know, your product. But I'm telling you, you know that I'm part of a fan roundtable little group chat. There's like 8 of us in there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I put that first one in there, they're like, "Where's the rest of it?" So you got us on board from the first episode, which was really cool because I was stoked for you guys to see that the fans, just a few fans that are in that group chat, were ready for more, and they didn't even know like how long was the series? Is there even any more? So you kind of got us invested like right off the ripper with that because it looked fun. But there was some mystical, magical, crazy shit going on in that thing.
Yeah, like I said, if I had better video editing, I definitely would have been a lot more magical. But it is what it is. Yeah, you know, we kind of tried to we pretty much put it up to everyone else's how they wanted to portray it. You know what I mean? It was kind of one of those. It's like obviously the story itself was set in stone and the way it was set, but like if anyone wanted to read between the lines, they were more than welcome to. You know, Frost had a pretty cool idea that I will not say on air, but I'll tell you afterward just because it didn't come to fruition. So I don't want to put it out there. But you know, there's stuff like that. So like we all kind of like we had a good day. You know, afterwards everyone was like thanking me. I'm like, guys, you don't have to thank me. Like, I'm glad you guys came. Thank you for coming. You know what I mean? You didn't have to fucking pretty much come here, help put me over while also making this fucking thing. You know what I'm saying? Realistically. So, and they knew the story coming in. So, like, I don't know. It was just a really fun just day to have with friends, you know? That's all it was.
And again, I don't mean to be repetitive, but it showed in the product, and I enjoyed it, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, creating it. Especially, you know, because I know it is for yourselves. You want to get your mind a little busy. You want to do something creative, and I get that it's for you guys, and you put it out for us to be entertained and such, and hopefully we get what you're trying to put out as a creative aspect. But all around, lame, corny, cinematic, whatever you want to call it. I thought it was a blast and I had fun with it. And thank you for putting that product together.
Oh man, of course. Like I said, just as much as it was out there for all of you guys, it helped us a lot just to get the fuck out and do something.
Yeah. I noticed over your tenure, being from, you've mentioned him more, earlier, Mr. Dick Lane, insane Dick Lane. I have noticed throughout your tenure in your career, may it be the King, may it be the Black Blade, you have your run-ins with one Mr. Dick Lane. I find that you two have had some really cool chemistry in the ring. Is that, first off, correct to say? And second off, What is it about Dick Lane, my friend?
Well, all right. So yeah, me and Dick Lane have undeniable chemistry. I don't care what anybody says. Whenever me and him go into the ring, we always have a blast, and we always have a good match. The best match we probably had, just to bring up, was our title match. I was the Providence Wrestle Party champion at that time, the Providence champion for Wrestle Party, and we had a pretty much no DQ Falls Count Anywhere match, which was phenomenal. We got to literally wrestle out onto the street, hit him with a cone while we were outside. Just a great time. And like, but I'll just say with Dick Lane, like it's even from our first match, even if it was kind of compared to now standards, it was still good for that time. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. Me and Dick Lane have just always had some chemistry because we both want to do the same thing in the sense where it's like, oh, we want to show up with some cool indie moves, but we also want to put together a story. And like him and I have that connection for those two things. But Dick Lane in general, I say this to everybody, and I mean this wholeheartedly. And if he's listening, he's going to get a bigger head, but I'm going to love him. Dick Lane, in my opinion, is probably one of the most underrated wrestlers in New England, and I mean that completely. The guy busts his ass, and he always has. Find me a bad Dick Lane match. That's all I'm going to say. Find me a bad Dick Lane match. You know what I mean? Like, God, you can go online and probably see some of my earlier stuff if you want to look up King Leon VI. It's not good. But, like, I mean, I don't think I can find a bad Dick Lane match. So,
I'm gonna piggyback on that, and I've said this on the show more than once because I've brought his name up more than once. Take the gimmick, take the Flash, take the metahuman stuff and the force choke slam and take everything away. Okay, put him in a pair of trunks, some knee pads, which would look very awkward, by the way.
Yes, it would.
But just put him in some basic stuff, and you will see a fantastic wrestler behind the gimmick.
Yeah, and that's what people don't seem to realize because, you know, I've had conversations with him outside of wrestling. Just be like, he's like, oh, you know, I don't know if I should do the force because people think it's a joke. I'm like, yeah, but like it's you. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it is your gimmick. But I even like he's one of those guys, like you want to wrestle, he'll wrestle. And he will wrestle pretty well. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's not the best in New England, but he is the most underrated, in my opinion, in New England. 100%.
Because he brings a package, if you will.
Yeah, he does.
You know, he's not a one-trick pony. He loves to have if there's anything about Dick Lane, he loves to have fun with the crowd.
And that's important too. Like he's got the thing about Dick Lane, like he really does have the whole package. He has the gimmick, he has the wrestling, and he has the charisma. What else do you want? You know what I mean? Like that's it. What do you want?
Yeah, so I feel that. Now you spoke about Tommy Dreamer.
Yes.
There was something that you had coming up, and if I'm not mistaken, it was under the Leon. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I don't mean to bring it up. I got but I want to say it was under the King Leon label. You were supposed to go against Boogeyman, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, that was correct. So this show was supposed to happen, I believe it was May 2nd. The first show that they were going to have. It's called High Tension Wrestling. It's out of Pennsylvania. Good buddy of mine, Alex, runs it, and I met him through PPW, where I had other matches like my Blue Meanie match and stuff. I met him through them, and he was actually one of the people who was advocating to bring me in alongside his buddy Paul Tomlinson, and they both have like kind of like not a stake, so to speak, but they're both involved heavily with PPW. So pretty much that's how I got in there, and then I met him and High Tension Wrestling. It was going to be their inaugural show. Now, fun fact, it was supposed to be a triple threat match to start. But I'm going to make this very clear, and you'll understand why I say the other name, why it's only now just supposed to be me and Boogeyman, but it was supposed to be me, Boogeyman, and Joey Ryan.
Oh.
Yeah. So, needless to say, that's not happening, which is great. But he was still like, hey, I still want it to be one-on-one, you and Boogeyman. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And then, unfortunately, you know, everything just went to shit. And, like, I'll tell you this right now. I'm not going to get into all the details because I'm not going to spread all the stuff around. But the thing about it is that I had a lot, and I mean a lot, of big matches coming up this year. And 2020 just ripped them away, which I'm sure a lot of people did. But, man, like, personally, I'm just like, fuck. Like, you know what I mean? So many. And, like, I was so excited for all of them. Oh.
As a wrestler, because I would never get in the ring. I don't know what it takes because I'm a little skinny ass motherfucking pussy because I'm not getting in that ring. But as a wrestler, though, you're finding these high profile because you have to build your schedule throughout the year. You can't just wait till the last minute because there is no last minute. And well, sometimes there is. Card is subject to change.
Yeah.
I do. But besides that, you want to build your schedule ahead of time throughout the year as far as you can. Now you've built your schedule. You have some high profile matches coming up. Shit gets pulled up, like you said, many others as well. But the shit gets pulled underneath you. How do you take that as a wrestler and persevere, man?
At first, I'll be quite honest with you, it was not easy because like I saw the day go and pretty much come and go, and I'm like, well, there goes May 2nd, so there's that, and then like you see, like for instance, I knew about the Dreamer match far in advance, and the thing is like I was like, do not, for the love of God, please, something go right, like something, and I'm like, it's that is probably comes from a place of selfishness, but also I feel like I've worked hard enough where I know I haven't been around as long as a lot of guys have been, but at the end of the day, I've also put in, especially in the first year and two, like first 2 years, I put in a lot of work, and like I'm not going to. It felt like it was finally starting to kind of come to fruition where it's like, oh, this might be the year. Like this could be like this is the real thing that's going to like start to really snowball me into whether it be indie darling or even if I'm just still like just one of those guys that are trusted enough on the roster to be like, hey, give him that guy. That's a great thing to me. You know what I mean? Like it was all coming up Millhouse. You know what I mean? Like that's what it was. And it was just, when it all finally went down, like perseverance wise, like you kind of have no choice but to to persevere. I mean, what else are you going to do? You can't dwell on it because that's the worst thing you can do for something that you're hoping for. You know what I mean? Obviously it sucked, but at the same time, like, I'm like, you know what? If I continue to do what I know I can do, whether it be creatively, whether it be just work ethic, when I finally sit down and really get into it, I can get back to that and better. And that's the way that I try to look at it.
Very well put, because you don't want to get caught in that rut. The talent that gets caught in a rut, they don't kind of know how to get out of it. And they kind of start just kind of tail spinning a bit, and they don't know how to move forward with their career, or they take time off and they find that maybe they shouldn't have, and they just should have kept going with it. And there's so many mixed emotions when it comes to trying to achieve being a wrestler.
Real quick, I will say, on touching on that point about wanting to stop and then, actually stopping, the one piece of advice I can give to anybody, like which a lot of people probably do know, everyone obviously needs time for their psyche, regardless of what it is. But I'm going to tell you this, if you're on a roll and you got to work on your psyche, but do it on your real time, because like, do not stop your momentum if this is what you really want to do. No matter, I know sometimes some days, just like for myself, are easier than others. There's some days I've walked into a locker room and been like, please tell me I'm first so that I can do my match and just go. And like, that's a shitty way to look at it, but like, we all have our bad days mentally. You know what I mean? Like, I've been like, especially recently, talking about positivity and really growing your positivity and keeping it going. But like, I'm not a positive every day. You know what I mean? Like, it's constant work. And that's work that I take, whether it be from doing my crafts or doing anything stupid or just promos or just whatever. And like, you still got to continue on with the shit that you want to do. So if you're in wrestling and you think about taking a break, do yourself a favor, don't. But learn that you still need to find time to work on yourself.
Irrelevancy happens very quick in wrestling if you're not in our eyes.
Very true.
So we don't forget you, but we see other people more often. It's the same thing on TV. Absolutely. We're like, hey, where did so-and-so go? But it might take a couple weeks because you're just kind of so in tune of seeing some of the same talent over and over, from the product that they give us. Yep. And then a couple weeks will go by and I'll be like, hey, where the hell is blah, blah, blah? I haven't seen him in a couple weeks, But now I kind of want to move on because there has been yet another evolution of what you're presenting to us, the fans, and yourself to the table here. And again, I want to reiterate, if you don't know, and please correct me on the name of Mr. Lee O'Connor show, because I just say that. Could you please name his show and where to find it on YouTube?
Sure. It's The Ring and All Other Sports with Lee O'Connors. You can literally type in The Ring and All Other Sports. And he'll come up. He's got like 200 something episodes. I believe I was 202. And yeah, I mean, honestly, Leo is a consummate professional. That guy was awesome. Truth be told, I loved being there, talking to him. He's a legitimately good dude.
Mm-hmm. Now, with you going on his show,
yes,
that introduced the fans that watch. It only said Leon or Leon. I don't know what to do with this now. Please, sir, for everything that's good in this world, what the F is going on?
All right. So basically, this is how it went down in my head. Like I said, I did King Leon the Sixth for probably three years, something like that, roughly 2.5, 3 years. Loved it, like I said, but I felt like I plateaued. And then when quarantine hit, I'm like, you know what? Now's the time to change it up if I want to do anything. Funny thing, I was actually already getting it ready before quarantine, but then quarantine made me have to kind of, wait it out some more. But I don't know if it was quarantine or if it was just generally not enough reps with it or what it was, but I did King Leon the Black Blade, and I thought it would put me into another level in my head. And I finally did it, and it just didn't feel like it. And it wasn't for any fault of my own, I feel like. I feel like I did everything I wanted to do correctly, but it just didn't feel like me. And, like, that's the thing is, like, King Leon the Sixth was me at 11. So me having to go serious and kind of try to push that was like, you know what? I'm not really that serious of a guy. Like, I am if I need to be, but I'm not. Generally, I'm the guy in the back. You can ask anybody. I'm the loud one. I like to joke around with everybody. Like, it's just who I am. And I think I was trying to force something that just was not me. So when it came time for me to, when I finally realized that, I had already done a couple months with King Leon the Black Blade, and I was like, okay, it's working and the fans are behind it, but I'm not behind it. And I need to be behind it in order for me to be able to really, keep up with it and be excited about going to wrestling and stuff. And so what ended up happening was I sat down with a couple people and more or less, called them and stuff, but I talked to a couple people I trust very much in wrestling. And I was pretty much like, guys, I think that I'm done with the King. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I think I've outgrown the whole King gimmick. I'm like, for what it's worth, Baron Corbin is on TV and fucking killing it as the King, first and foremost. I can't even be mad about it because he's owning that role. So that alone was like, okay, there's already a King on TV. If I go on TV, I'm bald and I have a beard too. It's going to look like I copy him no matter who knows me or not. Then there was another side of it where it was like, okay, the crown, in my opinion, as great as it was to get me where I was, is only going to hold me back long term. Because not every promotion, which I've run into, big promotions want a king because there's so many of them. And then everyone's now, the king of this and the king of that and king blah and king. I'm like, it's taking away from the relevancy of what the king really means, especially to me, because I wanted to make a king that was unlike other kings. Obviously had the same general idea, but the one thing that I made very clear to everybody, I'm like, I don't want to hail from like Taunton, Massachusetts. I want my own place because then no one else can do that. Jerry's the king of Tennessee, king of Memphis. No one knows where the fuck Beheadja is. Like, that was like my way to start my own little lore. But by the end of it, what ended up happening was I finally had a conversation with everyone, and I'm just like, you know what? I think it's just time for me to drop the crown. And I was just like, I just kind of want to be me. And Leon is just, I'm going to stick to Leon because everyone knows who King Leon was. So Leon is a fair name to stick to. And I'm going by the creator / the destroyer, and I'm leaving that where it is right now. So I'll let you wait and see. But I mean, it's honestly, it's me, because King Leon the Sixth was comedy. Black Blade was serious. I can do both without having a ceiling now and having to act like a king.
Because you find yourself, like you were saying, not every promotion wants a king because there are plenty of them in wrestling. We all know that. But you find yourself, as an actor does, being stereotyped. This guy is the king. Well, which king are you talking about? That king over there. So you find yourself in that one of those ruts, if you will, when it comes to the character. Right. But transitioning into this, now I know you're not going to give us whatever you've got going on because I know it's wrestling and you want us to be surprised, and I get that. But the serious part of it, you said, was a little bit forced. The comical part just seems to come natural. The production of bringing that kind of entertainment seems very in your wheelhouse, if you will.
Absolutely.
From here out, how do you manage to take yin and yang and throw them together?
I'm glad you said that. So here's my idea already. I'll throw this out there for you. So with King Leon VI, everyone got the comedy promos, and the in-ring kind of followed with some comedy, and I'd show a bunch of ass if I needed to. I could have regular matches, but most of it did that. With the Black Blade, it was all serious promos, and my in-ring showed nothing but serious. I figure the way I can do this, my comfort zone is, I want to show people, like I said with Black Blade, which was the main reason why he came about, was that I want to show people that I'm not just a gimmick and that I can fight and wrestle and actually show up and show out too. Because I truly believe if you put me in the ring with anybody, whether it's the right kind of match or not, it will work, because we will find a way to make it work, because I am passionate enough to know wrestling and to know of wrestling, how to get a match done correctly. And even if I'm wrong, it's my learning curve and it will be done correctly the next time. And when it comes down to promos, serious promos can be fun. I don't mind a serious promo, but like, man, I miss singing Disney songs and, doing stuff like that. And like, in my head, it's like this. If I can go out into the ring and go beat someone up and make it mean something, but also go out back and maybe have a freaking promo where, I don't know, maybe I'm in a bathrobe on a couch reading bedtime stories, I think that's a marketable thing. Like, you look at Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle's a perfect example. He'd be out back with a fucking little tiny guitar and a small cowboy hat, but go out and like have a wrestling clinic. Like that's the kind of thing I want to try to find.
Wow. Very, very interesting analogy, because, man, the visuals that just started flowing. As soon as you said Kurt Angle, I was thinking comedy, and that was the first thing that came to mind. You get the milk thing, and there's others, but I mean, his catalog goes on and on and on.
But he's the perfect guy that shows that there is a middle ground to both things, where he can do comedy but still be serious and relative and relatable enough to be a champion and like a legit champion.
And he's given us some of the most fucking funny moments of WWE. I mean, for real.
100%.
Oh man, when he was GM, there was some fun. I mean, there was a little bit of staleness to it because of the whole GM thing or whatever that they kept trying to force on us, if you will. But man, Kurt Angle, I'm so glad you put that analogy out there. So much fun, but such an amazing in-ring guy. And that's amazing.
See, when the bell rings, I want it to be all business. But when the bell's off, what does it matter? You know what I mean? Like, I want to be me. Be like, yeah, like I've got a couple ideas for some funny promos that will be out in the next couple of months. But like for now, I'm enjoying my time, building what I am and putting out my stuff I need to put out. And realistically, just rebranding. Like, I want people to understand, like, if you liked King Leon VI, you will like this. If you liked the Black Blade, you will also like this, because there's a mix of all of it. It's still me. You know what I mean? Just now, I don't talk like this. Now I talk fucking normal. So I mean, it's what it is. But
there's going to be a couple mind fucks when you start coming out as Leon, because we're not going to see the King. And again, the King had a sidekick. We're not going to be seeing him. We're not going to be hearing the voice. We're not going to be hearing and seeing many aspects, but you're going to try to put it together still and give us and really keep us involved with what you've already done. So this is going to be something interesting. I cannot wait to what you put out on the table. Speaking of which, love your production, always have. And it doesn't matter. I do everything with my phone. I mean, fuck. I don't get the production that you give us. It shows creativity. It shows passion. You give us laughter. You give us serious. You give us drama. You give us all sorts of stuff that the movies give us all in one little wrestling package. And I've always applauded you on that.
Thank you.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait until I can start seeing more footage, the promos and stuff from Leon, because you have a creative mind, my friend, and I look forward to that stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We could go on and on and on and on about wrestling, but I know your time is precious, and I appreciate you hanging with us, the fans.
Of course.
But I've been wanting to dive into something, because we talked positivity, keeping the bullshit to the side. I've seen you do that. You kind of took a little break off the book and the medias, if you will. You came back. I don't know how Don Kincaid made the fucking cut. Whenever I saw Steve Baker send you a friend request, I was like, holy shit, I'm in. But anywho, you came back. You started getting, your oats about you. You felt that it was time to get back on the medias. Now, in the interim, you've also started something on the side. We've mentioned crafts.
Yeah.
What in the world is going on with Baker?
Well, all right. Pretty much long and short of it is this, is that when quarantine happened, obviously, a lot of people can probably vouch for this. You have a lot more time in your own head. And you get to realize, because you're not out and about and keeping yourself busy like normal. You're literally in the house. And for the first month or two, I was probably just drinking most of the time, truth be told. I was just drunk. But then after that all, finally fell off, which at the time, some friends of mine were like, hey, we think you're getting a little too. I'm like, oh, shit, you're right. My bad. So I kind of put it down for a little while just for my own sake. But in that time, I got into my own head and was like, man, like I just picked myself apart. And I don't think it was a bad thing. It was just I kind of put myself into a little bit of a depression, truth be told. And it was just kind of like not where I wanted to be. And like that was a big telltale right there for me because I don't mind my cat. I deleted my Facebook. Deleted pretty much all my social media, just so that I could refresh my brain. Truth be told, to pull back the curtain, started going to therapy and like really went to therapy and was just like, all right, I got to see what's going on with me. And I mean, I took a few months for myself and, it mattered. And I really got lucky that it did happen during quarantine, to be honest with you, because it really gave me time to reflect and kind of figure out what the hell I'm doing and who I am and shit like that. So when I finally did come back, I was just like, you know what? I'm kind of done with just the bitterness of not just wrestling, but life. Like no point to be bitter and upset. I mean, I woke up another day and I'm fucking breathing and, my bills are paid. I'm not hungry, things are okay. So that really started me just kind of like, steamrolling in a way, in a good way, towards a person who I really want to be. I mean, I'm not there yet. I probably never will be, but like, I mean, I'm generally trying. And there was a thing where, again, another burner account was like, oh, this positivity bullshit that he's doing is all just a fucking, a phase. And I'm like, guys, you saw
I seen that. Yeah, I seen that.
And you know what, though? At the end of the day, like I even said on my socials, I'm like, I'm not going to confront it in the way they want to be confronted. I'm not going to get angry about it. Anyone can have any opinion they want on what I'm doing with my own personal life, but I know what I'm doing. And whether you believe me or not is truly not my problem, as long as I'm happy with what I'm doing. But either way, going into the crafts part, dude, I'll be honest with you. I never have been a crafty person. So when this happened, I was just like, my ex at the time when we were together, and she was like, hey, she's like, I really want to make a Pokeball. I'm like, I can make a fucking Pokeball. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, I can do that. So I bought the stuff for it and made one, and it was kind of cool. So I'm like, oh, I made like 4 or 5 of them, put them up on my little shelf, gave her one, gave her sister one, shit like that, nothing crazy. And then I posted pictures one day, and my friend's like, hey, is that Ho-Oh for sale? Which is a Pokemon. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. Like, he's like, how much? I'm like, I don't know, $50. He's like, yeah, all right. And sent me, I'm like, this is all I got to do. So I started just kind of marketing it, like really marketing it more like I would with wrestling and myself. Started marketing more. And now I'm just making shit for everybody, dude. I've made a lot of money in the past like 2 months just crafting stuff for people, which is awesome. And I love it that people want to keep coming back and buy stuff from me. So, yeah.
And I've noticed that it's not just fans, it's your friends, it's wrestlers. It's like it's the people that it's crazy.
The funny thing is it really came down to networking, but it wasn't my networking. It was other people saying, wow, look how great this thing is that this guy made, and tagging me, and then people messaging me that I don't even know, being like, hey, I saw that. Are you those for sale? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So like it's kind of just turned it again. It's like a snowball effect with it, where it's just like let a little piece go and see how big it gets. And that's really where it's been. Like, I mean, I've sold probably like fucking $600-700 worth of shit this week alone just from crafting, and like that's a good amount of money to make on the side when I can't work. So wow. But yeah, well, just kind of
congrats on that venture you got going on, man, because I seen you've been really stoked doing it,
I love it. I don't know what it is, but I love it. Like it's just super fucking fun to me.
Now we're gonna bring this down to a tail here because I know you got some stuff going on.
Sure.
And I know we've just spoke your transition in life, your transition in wrestling. You're trying to keep the positivity in the foreground instead of the background. And I'm not trying to bring you down by any stretch of the imagination. And my show is not about shooting on people. It's not about, legitimate life bullshit behind the fucking curtain or any of that. But I've really got to talk to you about something. And I hope I don't get you triggered enough to where we end up on a bad foot here. And I know you're like, what the fuck is he talking about?
I think I know exactly what you're talking about, but go ahead.
All right. Then you probably have an idea. There was some fucking chatter on the old face page.
Yep.
And your boy, Cantina, did a little trolling on you, and it turned into something bigger than I expected it to. Dude, these are the things that we talk about, why you get rid of social media or why you get rid of friends or why you kind of take a step back or why the negativity starts wearing on you and many other aspects of the emotions. I don't know what he was trying to do. And again, I don't ever do this. This is my very first time of talking to anybody like this. Pretty much the only thing I can say is, dude, what the fuck?
All right. So for anyone who didn't know, I pretty much posted something, I'd like to say probably 2 or 3 weeks ago that I was saying, I'm really, I had a really great time making all these, Pokeballs and blah, 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 blah. And just thanking everyone for who's ever even supported it at all. And, Anthony Katina, who was actually, oddly enough, he was a pretty good friend of mine in the business before all this crap happened. Like, so to see him pretty much popped on my Facebook page, like, oh, you guys just talk about Pokemon, fucking pretty much, this is what you do. Fucking these are the kind of people you let on your show, Leo, da 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 da. And I'm like, so at first I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? So I actually messaged him and I was like, what the fuck's up? He's like, honestly, dude, he's like, I just think it's fucking stupid that like, I'm like, he's like, it's not professional. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what you think. You know what I mean? Like, and the people who are out there, like, oh, it's just a work. It's just a work. No, Anthony Katina, if you are listening, you can go fuck yourself. So that's literally how I feel. Honestly, he was a buddy of mine. I tried to help him. I was the one who freaking helped him with the whole Dreamer thing. I'm the one who got him in the damn match. So for him to come and do something like that to me, honestly, he can go fuck himself. That's the one thing you're gonna get that's not positive from me. But yeah.
Well, I'm glad I didn't trigger you to a wild point.
Not
because exactly wasted energy, if you will. But yeah. I figured you guys had some kind of relationship through the industry, and to see the chatter that happened, it really, for a fan, it kind of threw me a little bit because it's like, what the fuck is he coming at him over that for? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
A
lot of people message me and say, "Is this real? Like, is this a shoot?" I'm like, no, that was very real. So whatever the fuck's going on, whatever's up his ass today is clearly fucking coming my way. So
yeah. Well, I appreciate you letting me kind of go through that because I've been kind of curious.
Nah, no worries.
Because you aren't here as, the king, and this is a different kind of setting for the two of us here. So yeah. I figured, why not throw that in there? Again, I can only hold so much information in my feeble little brain. And that was one of the things that kind of was sticking out. You know what? One thing that I've always loved that King has done throughout his career, when we boo the fucking piss out of you, when you come out, you've got your beautiful garb and everything, and you're looking fantastic. You're shitting on us verbally. We're booing on you. You get up to the ring. You walk in there. You get up onto the turnbuckle, and you do this. Yes, woo! Whoa! I will always carry that with me forever, my friend. I love that part of what you brought to the table. Why and how did that start?
That's actually really funny. So Paul and I were doing a promo a couple of years back as Squire and King Leon VI, and it was when I was starting to really catch some traction. I had like 3 championships, and I was doing a video, and I was just holding all 3 belts like for dear life. And I'm like, Squire, why do they boo me? Why do they I have all this gold and they boo me? Like, they're not booing, they're wooing you. I'm like, they're wooing? like a woo, and like so it just turned into a woo, like this, it became a thing, and it was just like, oh, I got to use. So we when the video was over, I was like, man, we got to use that in like real fucking life. Like when they boo me, I got like, yes, woo, and like, dude, I loved it. Honestly, it was one of those things where finally I remember there was one day that I had one guy, and I believe it was in Schenectady, New York, and I was fighting Fox Vineyard at Immortal Championship Wrestling. And this guy, he was just like screaming, boo! And I'm like, yes, woo! He's like, no, I said boo! And I was like, yes, more woo! And we're just fucking going back and forth. And this guy was just like getting clearly pissed off. Like you could tell it was still very real to him. And it just turned into one of those. So I just kept saying woo every chance I got at that man. It was like woo whenever I was up or anything like that. Oh, so much fun.
My friend, this shit brings so much smile to my face. It hurts. I absolutely fire/money, my friend. Just that alone, fire/money. Love that. Just that little nuance.
There was one thing I want to bring back one way or another, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. But early on in my career, when I was, truth be told, slightly too egotistical for my own good,
No.
which honestly,
A new wrestler, egotistical?
oh no, yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so I was slightly over egotistical for my own good, and I made this thing where I pretty much had the shirt that I had made. It was like, you know, beautiful, majestic, divine, the whole 9 yards that I used to say. And then on the bottom, it had a check mark and it said over. So I ended up making a thing called Over Anonymous, where it was like, you know, AA or NA, but it was literally just a group of wrestlers in a circle who believed they were over. And some of them, most of them were. But they would always pretty much attack me and be like, why are you here? I'm like, what do you mean, why am I here? I'm clearly the most over, blah, 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 blah. And like bullshit like that. And it was like, it was literally just a giant ego fest, but it was like fun. It wasn't like one of those like real, it wasn't a bad one, you know what I mean? Right, and like it was just a way to pretty much play up ego without actually using it, and it was so much fun. Like there was one of them that I brought, it was, and Sully Banger was more often than not the one who was the guy who was like running Over Anonymous, so it was super fun. He would just have like a book. They were like, all right guys, well, we're here for Over Anonymous again. King, hello, you know, things like that and shit like that. And like there was one day he's like, you know, you're not over. I'm like, I'm very over. Look at all this over I have. And I pulled out a piece of paper that just said over on it, and I would throw them in the air. Like, look, 1 over, 2 over. Like I'm very over, clearly. You know, where's all your overs? You know, bullshit like that. And like it was super fun. And like that's something I want to find a way to rehash if I can with Leon, like in a more fun way. I got to figure that out. But like I've been thinking about old stuff that I do that I want to make.
There's one thing before I let you go. There's one memory that I want to speak of, and it was pretty much. And I know we spoke of the Chop Shop, yes. But I want to say this is pre-Chop Shop. To be honest with you, we were at XWA. I was with my dad. We were outside during intermission. You were out with some of the boys during intermission, and me and my dad were going to the car for a little something. And you were out there, and I go, watch this, Dad. And I started digging on King Leon. And you said something about my merch and how come I don't have King Leon merch on. And I said something, I've been trying to buy your merch for months, but you don't have a large. I need a large. And your reaction was this: you in a large? I will show you the medium that I'm wearing right now. And I'll never forget that, dude. It was fucking amazing. And I go, but a medium doesn't fit. And you're a big ass dude. A medium was fitting you, but it wouldn't fit me.
It's not going to happen.
But those are one of those fan moments that I will always take away with me. And I thank you as a fan. Just because I've talked about this, we take these things home, we get in the car, we start driving home with and I've spoken to you about this. Right. We take these memories in the car home with us. Some of them go away over time, but some of them just don't. And those are those little things that really stick out that I take with me forever in wrestling. And I thank you so much for giving us, the fans, a little part of you that we take home.
Well, look, man, honestly, like there's really, and like I know this is just kind of like a humble speak, but there's no need to thank me. I mean, I literally do that stuff because that's what I want to do. And the fact that you guys even enjoy it slightly, I mean, I thank a lot of you guys for that. The fact that anyone who's ever bought a shirt, anyone who's ever even come up for asking for a picture, anyone who's ever done honestly anything in regards to me, I appreciate you because even though I'm King Leon or Leon when you see me, I'm still Steve when I go home. And I also remember that stuff. So that's important to me too.
I cannot express from the fans to the talent our gratitude and what you bring to the table. And I know that you boys and girls, you say, without us, there's no you, but without you, there's no us. So it's that little relationship that we speak of. And I've always felt the character coming to us, the fans, trying to get us invested on what you're trying to portray because there's some guys and girls out there. They just don't know what the hell they want to give us. So you had a direction and you ran with it. You went all in, if you will, with it. And I know the fans will absolutely love everything you've given from King Leon to the Black Blade to what you're going to bring to us in the future. And boys and girls, keep your eyes peeled because if there's one thing that this guy is, it's creative. So I cannot wait to see what we get from Leon.
Thank you very much, man. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. This was Stirring the Pot with my very special guest, Stephen Baker. So weird calling you that. Stephen Baker, thank you, my friend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you soon.